what he's supposed to do to be that level of draft pick and the amount of money he's making. I mean, you're supposed to get that amount of money if you're considered a franchise guy, but you're not seeing the results. You're not seeing results, especially in wins. They got a goose egg right now. They've lost 4 games in a row. That's not good. But the person that's going to take the blame, they're not going to get rid of the quarterback. They're not going to get rid of any other player right now. They're going to look at the coach and see, why is this guy not doing what he's supposed to do? Why are we winning games? He may lose his job before the season's gone. And I hate to even say that. I don't like seeing anybody lose their job, but there's a possibility.
I agree. I mean, I look at something like this and I Peterson is not a bad coach. He's not a bad coach. There's something being lost. Maybe it's the defense. I don't know. Maybe it's the defense that's letting the Jags down a little bit here. They did let Houston come back, so I don't know. So
the defense is tired at that point. I mean, their defense is tired at that point. I mean, they were up 20-17. So why isn't the offense scoring more points? Why are you stalling?
And then why didn't the Jags play defense like the Broncos did, who refused to lose that game too, right? True. So I don't know. There's just something that's not working there. And of course, in the end, it's the head coach's responsibility, right? So we got, as you see, as the Lions comments come up, we got a special guest underneath right now that's coming up, Jeremy B, who will be coming on and talking a little bit about the North. I mean, what a division, right? A big game tomorrow night for the Lions. Let's bring up Jeremy. We'll talk a little bit about that. And, of course, I'll keep giving you updates as long as not where you guys. So let's bring up Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
Oh, fantastic. Watching a slew of great games today.
How's it going, man?
Oh, my God, yes. Oh, my God, yes.
I've been trying to explain this about tiebreakers because people are delusional and saying, well, the Packers aren't in last place right now. Your only wins are out of conference. The Bears just beat the Rams. That is the third tiebreaker. So if you win a in-conference game and you win out-of-conference games, that puts you below them. If you have the same record, I mean, there's head-to-head. Then it's in conference, which they have a loss in division. I mean, divisional round. They have a loss in the division. Nobody else has a loss in the division.
Jeremy, that thing right now really is like a fake stat to me, because they got to play each other. They got to play each other again, right? Now, after they play each other twice and the points are higher on one side or one team beats the other, fine. But they're going to play each other again. Now, if Green Bay wins by 2 points or 3 points, whatever they lost by, I think it was a couple points, 31-29, it's even. So, I mean, that stat really ain't going to mean nothing until the end of the year. What it really means is, as you're saying, what is your record in conference? Does Green Bay beat Chicago more than Detroit beat Chicago, or, vice versa? That's when that really comes into play. And again, of course, as you say, then in conference, then, right.
But what I'm talking about, though, is they're saying, oh, but the Bears are in last place still, and I'm trying to get them to understand, there is rules for the tiebreak.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter as much now, but later down the road it does.
Right.
All of that matters. Right. That's why Dan Campbell, when he talked about losing to the Bucs, that may come back to bite us if they get hot and have a good record and we end up tied. They would get us in the seeding.
Exactly.
So that's where I'm going with it. It's not so much now, but as the season progresses, if they're playing this 500 ball all the time, and it looks like the Bears are capable of playing 500 ball because of their defense.
Right.
That one game may mean the difference in where they end up at the end of the season is what I'm getting
at. At 100%, because Tampa Bay's in-division record might be better than their in-division record, and so on and so forth. 100%. So let's talk a little bit about the Bears. The Bears finally decided to run the ball today. Surprise, surprise. They ended up winning the game. Caleb Williams didn't have to do a lot, but I mean, they get a nice win today. And I think it was an overall team effort too. And that's what I like seeing, right, Jeremy?
Right. It was. Their defense really stepped up to keep them in the game versus Matt Stafford and the Rams. But I said, don't expect a lot of sacks because look at what's happened the first 2 weeks. He hasn't been sacked a lot because he gets the ball out fast.
Right.
He's became a different quarterback. He's not trying to play hero ball like he was when he was younger because he knows he's not younger anymore. He doesn't have that 70-yard down the field football anymore. So he has to get it out faster to preserve his NFL life at 33 years old with as many back and neck and shoulder and every other injury he's had in his career. And kudos to him for playing through a bunch of them. But at the same time, did he hurt his teams when he did it?
Yeah, and you gotta look at his weapons too, Jeremy. No Kupp, no Puka. I mean, that hurt him, and there's no doubt about that. But still, hey, next guy steps up, and Chicago wins, and that's the bottom line. I liked what Minnesota did too. They played a complete game too. I mean, Jordan Love comes in. I don't think I'm not sure if it helped him or hurt him in the long run, Jeremy, because at the end of the game, Jordan Love is going to be a great quarterback. I think he's a great quarterback, but he's still young. And at the end of the game, he showed it when all of a sudden he's throwing up Hail Marys when he's still got time left and throwing interceptions. He didn't have to do that. I think he kind of forced it near the end of the game where they could have maybe came back and won that game. But hats off to Minnesota, 4-0. And again, Green Bay is definitely not out of it. And I mean, that North's something else this year.
And yes, and one of my viewers, because I shared it to my channel, actually mentioned the Packers would have won with Malik Willis. I agree, because the chemistry had been built. You disrupt that chemistry by changing who's the general of the team during a win streak. I don't agree with that one at all. That's a troll account that uses my pictures.
Oh, Lord. So
imitation is the biggest form of flattery. So I'm honored and annoyed at the same time.
There you go. So anyway, we already covered some of the games. Surprise, Washington is in first place in the East. Jaden Daniels played well, but again, the running game was awesome for Washington. Their defense played really well. Everybody was looking at maybe the Eagles are going to take this way or the Cowboys. Well, don't look now, but all of a sudden, Washington's in first, and they're playing better than both those teams right now.
And who'd have thunk it? Think about this. I did say they'd be a surprise team and possibly make the playoffs with the additions they made on defense because I knew that they were better than their record last year. Because all you had to do is look at how many yards that Sam Howell was able to throw to with Terry McLaurin and a cast of cast-off.
Yeah.
So you put in a quarterback that's better and a little more mobile and able to do more and avoid those sacks and be smart doing it.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
Definitely. Denver, the Jets, that Denver defense is no joke. We talked about it on a big football show, Jeremy. Everybody's saying, the Jets defense. The Jets defense is good. There's no doubt about that. Denver's defense is playing lights out. They refuse to lose that game. Jets had a lot of opportunities at the end to win that game, and Denver defense just was not having it. And Aaron Rodgers, to me and James, we were talking about it. He looked a little bit old today. He looked a little bit frustrated. He looked like a dad yelling at his kids. And he's kind of banged up a little bit. And I don't know if he's kind of happy or not right now with the way things are going this year. They had a chance right now to go 3-1. They fall back, and now they got Minnesota next Sunday.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers does look exactly how he looked that last year in Green Bay. Right now, inconsistent, up and down, happy one week, sad the next. Maybe he should stay out of the ayahuasca and the darkness retreats in the offseason and actually play with his team, build some camaraderie, because that's what I see as the difference. You look at the way he was before Green Bay drafted Love, he was at camp every year.
Yeah.
And as soon as he started doing all this stuff and the whole thing about does he want to retire, does he want to play, and sitting out the camp. And then they wondered why Green started slow. Now, yes, he still had some 13-3 years in that time, but it was 1-2 to start, or 2-1 and 2-2 and stuff like this, inconsistent with how he started his other MVP years. But Denver defense is no joke. I mean, Patrick Surtain, they've got some unheralded guys on the line. The linebackers are a lot better than everybody thought they would be. Most of them are second-year guys.
Yeah.
What can you say? They're out there playing their hearts out and trying to win, which is a testament to what used to happen with New Orleans. It was the defense that got going before the offense got going when Sean Payton got there. It took a year or two before Drew Brees became the Drew Brees that was lighting up the league.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, me and James talk about, there are a lot of older quarterbacks that go to other teams. I mean, Johnny Unitas did it. Joe Namath did it, and they're up in their years, and they're not as limber as they were. They're not as sharp as they were, and not that they're bad quarterbacks. It's just they aren't what they were. Now, if Aaron Rodgers is in his prime, Jets probably win that game, but he's definitely not. His receiving core is nowhere close to one of the best receiving cores. And take Wilson all you want. He's a good receiver, but he's no Justin Jefferson. He's good. I don't think he's in that class. So the Jets have got to run the ball, and Denver shut them down. Denver shut their running game down.
The brain is there, but the tools aren't. That's what it is with Aaron Rodgers. And his brain hasn't comprehended that part of it. He's still trying to make those big throws, and he's sailing a few of them and hitting them at the feet on others. And that's not because he's a bad QB. It's because he's trying to do more than his body will allow.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing when you recognize that you're not as good as you used to be, especially if you're a very smart, cerebral quarterback. It's got to be hurt and bad, man. That's probably why he put the towel on his head at the end.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's see if I can catch up on some of the scores. 49ers did end up beating the Patriots 30-13. Really no surprise there, right? I mean, George Kittle is back. The Patriots they're just not ready to win yet. And I don't think they're going to be ready to win for a couple of years over there. I don't know if they're gonna put the young kid in there or not. Maybe they have a better chance with a mobile quarterback than Brissett, who's up there in his age right now too. But they don't want to ruin the quarterback. So I get that. The Patriot fans are just going to have to accept it and be like everybody else for a couple of years, having those bad years, and that's what I think is going to happen there.
There are two trades that happened in the last 3 years that I think are two of the worst trades in history. And if you look at what was giving up, I still think the Russell Wilson trade by the Broncos to Seattle barely trumps the Watson trade, because they're still paying him $39 million a year the next 2 years, and he's not even on their roster.
It's true.
We could say the Deshaun Watson thing was bad, but he actually cleared cap. They cleared cap with his restructure this year. He has 2 void years, which is awful. That's going to hurt the Browns by kicking the can down the road, which is what they'll do then. They'll kick the can down the road some more. It's the same thing the Saints have been doing for years. Every year it comes up. Oh, look, $90 million in the hole. Next thing you know, they're able to sign all their rookies and a couple free agents. They kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
Cap is real, but it's fluid.
It sure is. It's all how you want to approach it, on whether you want to give signing bonuses or you don't want to give signing bonuses and all that good stuff. The Raiders end up beating the Browns 20-16. Cleveland falls to 1-3. The Raiders are 2-2. I don't know if I would think Antonio Pierce's words, James, to the team, we're going to be making business decisions also. I think it did influence them a little bit, but Cleveland is this year, I don't think they're going anywhere, James.
No, I mean, they have injuries just like everybody else, I mean, to keep positions, but they're supposed to have a stout defense. And I'm not looking at Deshaun Watson doing anything this year as well. He's really not showing. They have a. Do they even have a running game? I can't even think of. No, they don't. Nick Chubb's not there. It's just still, again, you being paid a lot of money, man. You got to get out there and just show what you can do. And I hadn't seen. It seemed like I don't know if he shook from the situation off field, what has happened, and he doesn't have his confidence anymore. Because this is a night and day player from the guy that was in Houston. He was lights out there, but now the lights have just been turned off. Period. Here in Cleveland, so I don't see them foreseeing them bouncing back. I don't think they're going to have a good season at all. Just not good there.
After that year and a half off due to the suspension plus everything that went down in Houston, he has not been the same guy.
No.
Prior to that, every year he's been a top 10 quarterback statistically. May not have had a top 10 team around him, had some top players, had some good other players that put up good stats, but the team itself failed him. And then when you find out that almost all of those masseuses were hired by the team and that's why they had all the information, doesn't that look a little ugly?
Well, I guess you want to keep your star player happy. I don't know what happened there, Jeremy.
Yeah, when you ask for a trade, you go, watch this.
Yeah, yes. I think he did a little bit more than got the massages. I think he's in some real trouble with this last claim against them. There's supposed to be evidence, and maybe that's weighing on his mind. I mean, this stuff has got to affect you in one way or another. You can't expect to go out there and concentrate just on football with all this swirling around you. And I don't think it ever stops. I think this follows this guy even out football. And, I don't know what's going to happen down the road. But the stuff affects you. You go to, you're prepping for a game, and here comes a claim. You're there, you're trying to look at film, and they're asking you questions about this and what's happening here, and you got to defend yourself all the time. It's got to affect them. But, you reap what you sow, right? So there you go. Chiefs. The Chargers had them. The Chargers were playing better than them for the whole first half, but they couldn't score. You got to score against the Chiefs. You can't let them hang around. And 17-10, they end up winning. The Chiefs are 4-0, and they don't even look good right now. Patrick Mahomes throwing interceptions. The running game was decent. Chargers really outrushed them. But you can't – I don't care who you are. You cannot let the Chiefs stick around, James. Do the Chiefs win this division? And are they good enough to go to the Super Bowl again? Not right now, they're not, are they?
They're good enough to win the division. I mean, looking at every team that's in that division, yeah, it's theirs for the taking. But Super Bowl, I mean, I don't know. Last year we struggled with them in the regular season as well, and they still found ways to win in the postseason and win against a heavy. I mean, to me, I thought that I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, but I was a little nervous because I thought San Francisco was really that team, and they were. But Mahomes' magic is real, and we'll just see how far along they go this year. I think they win a division. There might be some. If Buffalo continues on the trend that they're going, I like Buffalo to maybe take over the Josh Allen looks like he's just the man right now. It's just not really a question looking at him in the AFC. I don't know. Besides him and Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, we'll see what they do. I think tonight would be a excellent game. A litmus test on to see where one of these teams will take over and just move forward.
Yeah, I listen. I think it's going to be a good game too. I like the Bills. I think the Bills got a kind of unbelievable all around good offense, defense. Baltimore, for some reason, their passing defense isn't that good this year. And Lamar Jackson at the end. If it comes down to Lamar Jackson winning at the end, I get nervous. We'll see what happens. I mean, listen, the Ravens are a strong team. They can win this game. It's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a great game. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about the Carolina Panthers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, listen, Cincinnati defense is not that good this year. We know that. But what a difference a quarterback makes. I said it when he came out, James. Bryce Young is going to be a bust. And I said that because of the physical build and because of his he's too small, he's too thin. He's not a great pocket quarterback. He's got to move. You got Andy Dalton, who's how old is he now? 60? I mean, he comes in and he's throwing the ball down the field. The Carolina Panthers look competitive. They didn't win, but they look competitive against the Bengals. They ended up losing the game. Let me see what I got here for a score. What was it? Yeah, I mean, by 10 points? I think it was. But they were competitive all the way through. I don't know if the Panthers are going to do much this year, but they do look a lot better, Jeremy. And you know something? I give Andy Dalton a lot of credit for bringing that whole team a step up.
Yeah, Andy Dalton does look good. Yeah, it was 34-24. But at the same time, when you have a vet coming in, when a young player is benched, the team is going to look up to him more and possibly play a little bit better. Because if you lose your confidence in the young guy, you gotta put a vet in to get that confidence back. And that's what it looks like is going on there in Carolina. Andy wasn't his best today, but neither was Joe Burrow.
No.
What was the best is everything around Joe Burrow, while everything else was just mediocre to good around Andy Dalton, which is a testament that this roster isn't done being rebuilt yet. And the GM came out and said, we're not interested in trading Bryce Young. We're doing this as a learning experience for him. And you can say what you want about little guys like that, but there's been little guys who came back and been good later on in their career in the NFL. Doug Flutie and Drew Brees comes to mind. You know, all of them were sub 6 foot, less than 200 pounds when they started to show out, and then they put on a little weight and started to do something. And I just think Bryce hasn't developed the muscle between his ears yet.
James, I don't know. You talk about Doug Flutie, who was, I mean, listen, this dude won a national championship. I mean, he took Boston College, and I mean, I think he was up amongst the Heisman Trophy when he took the Buffalo Bills all the way to championship, and they sat him down for Johnson to play. I had no idea why they did that when Johnson was a terrible quarterback. I don't know if Buffalo was in the Super Bowl with him or not. And he also was good. He was pretty good with Chicago too. I mean, Flutie was a smart quarterback, as Jeremy's saying. And I think in the right offense, maybe Bryce Young is a good quarterback. I don't even know if he's good as Flutie, to be honest with you, James.
Doesn't Bryce Young have a Heisman in a national championship?
Yes. I'm going to say that team was incredible. I mean, you got to look back, though. Flutie, I mean, that was a Hail Mary that nobody expected. I mean, he threw 60+ yards in that touchdown to win I mean, that was incredible. But I'm not going to compare. I get what you're saying about the short quarterbacks. Drew Brees probably, I think that's his idol as well. He looked up to him as far as like the style of player he was. I think he's a cerebral quarterback, and I think he can be more accurate. I think his confidence was just shook. And again, he's a short guy. I agree, Mac, that he's a very short guy behind the line. I mean, Drew Brees had to throw the ball. He stood on his toes. A lot of people don't even know that. He had to stand on his toes behind the Saints guards. They made sure they had two big, huge guards. Not one of them's a Hall of Fame, potentially a Hall of Famer in guard play. You need guys to take care of the middle. That line play for the style of quarterback that he is terrible. So I mean, I'm just going to say Andy Dalton's a taller quarterback, and he's a veteran at the same time. Of course, they look up to him. And go ahead. You can go ahead.
Let me get you something to think about. All right. Bryce Young played on a team that was a national championship team. He had great players around him, right? Doug Flutie played on Boston College. All right. Drew Brees played for Purdue. Drew Brees was accurate with Purdue. He was accurate when he was with the Chargers. He was an accurate quarterback.
That's
Brees
not
was
true.
an accurate quarterback.
That's not true. He threw a lot of interceptions. He threw a lot of interceptions.
He got hurt, and when he played in and that's why Miami didn't pick him up.
He did
I'm telling you,
not
when I watched this guy, when I watched this guy, when I watched this guy play college football, I could tell he was going to be a good quarterback because he didn't have a good team around him, and yet Purdue was a winning team, and they beat some teams that were better than him because of Drew Brees. Yeah, I could just tell. You could watch the quarterback and see the mechanics. Bryce Young doesn't have those mechanics, guys. Doug Flutie had those mechanics. Bryce Young doesn't have them. He steps, he runs, he's throwing, he's not planting, he's scared, his confidence is broke, as you're saying. I'm just telling you, and you watch, I don't care where he goes, he doesn't have the mechanics yet. And I don't know if he ever will, because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of quarterbacks that come in with their first year and get shook like this never return. I hope he does. I don't think he will. My opinion.
Well, again, when Brees got to the NFL, those mechanics went away and his decision making went away, and he had more interceptions and touchdowns his first
year. The best player on that team during that time was Damian Tomlinson.
And he started to look like a quarterback. He gets hurt, and Chicago goes, and most quarterbacks don't come back from this surgery. We're going to move on and go with Philip, the whole Philip Rivers, Eli Manning situation.
All right. So, I'm just saying that, just watching these guys both play in college, which I did, he might have had a rough first couple of years. So did Drew Luck. So did Peyton Manning. I mean, we could go through all of them. I'm talking about just the mechanics, guys. That's all I'm talking about. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I could be wrong. That's for sure. We got a game coming up tonight. We got Buffalo Bills, who can go 4-0, going against the Baltimore Ravens, who need this game very badly. Last week, they almost lost to the Cowboys. They were way up ahead of them. Cowboys came rambling back. They cannot play that kind of defense against Josh Allen. The Bills have a decent running game. They got a very underrated defense. And Baltimore, of course, we know, is a black and blue, tough kind of defense. And they do also have Derrick Henry. Can Buffalo Bills stop Derrick Henry? It's going to be a key to this. And can the Baltimore Ravens stop Josh Allen from spreading that ball around? James, you go first.
No, I mean, I think I want Baltimore to win this game because I just don't think they can bounce back. They can't really fall in the hole of a 1-3 start, and they're at home. So I'm giving them the opportunity, but it's really hard for me to go against Buffalo the way they've been playing. I think Buffalo is going to win this game again tonight. And I don't think it's going to be close. I think Buffalo might have been dominating every team they've been playing. And I think they might do this here as well with this team.
Jeremy, what do you think? Do you think Baltimore, I mean, they need this more than Buffalo does, definitely, especially with the Jets losing Miami without a quarterback. But, I mean, that doesn't mean Buffalo's not going to go out and play either. They're going to give their best shot. What do you think?
We heard the same things prior to the Miami game. Can this Buffalo defense stop Raheem Mostert, Devin Achane, Jeff Wilson? Can they stop Tua Tagovailoa from hitting those receivers down deep? What did we see happen with the defense? They smothered Miami prior to Tua being hurt.
Yeah.
So say what you want. This defense is right up there statistically with what they expected the Ravens defense to be, and it hasn't been. I'm saying the Ravens defense doesn't look the same. And you want to know why? Because their defensive coordinator is a head coach for Seattle.
I agree again.
They had all that continuity. It also shows that the continuity in coaching matters more than the talent on the field.
And play as well. Patrick Queen, I think, is a big reason that they lack a lot there now, being in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Patrick Queen in Pittsburgh, even though they didn't have their best game today, but it took Anthony Richardson going out of that game to beat him. Because Joe Flacco came off the couch again and says, "Guess what, boys? I'm going to take you to victory."
As soon as Flacco went in, I thought it was over for the Steelers, man. I really did. I thought they could come back. They did come back, but Flacco was that's an old veteran that can that can really do some things for him. So anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be a great game tonight, though. I think this is going to be one of the better games of the week. Like I said, Derrick Henry is going to be a load, and I think Buffalo, they should be able, if they play the way they're playing, they should be able to squeak this out. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Jackson goes crazy and throws for 400 yards. Who knows? Tomorrow's games are getting close to the top of the hour already. Holy God. So we have Tennessee playing Miami. I don't know if Huntley or Levis, which one's worse right now. Levis has been playing more. Huntley is a 3-6 kind of running quarterback. They say, get it to the Cheetah, get it to Waddle. You still got to get it to him, and it showed last week that he couldn't get it to him. The Sheridan that was in there, but can Huntley with his legs keep Miami alive enough to beat Levis, who likes to, for some reason, throw the ball to the other team at the end of the game to lose? I don't know what's going on up there, but what do you guys think of that game?
I don't know if the tree just yet between player and his his teammates and his coach. They brought him in for a reason, just like Green Bay brought Malik Willis in. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have a small game plan to make sure that he doesn't turn the ball over. Make sure they have situations where he can run the ball and dump off. Maybe they do some screens with their running back because they got speed on the team. It's just a matter of being able to get the ball to these guys. And there's going to be a lot of short passes. I'll tell you that right now. So they could succeed. They can win. It's just enough. I don't know when Tua's coming back. When is Tua coming back?
Maybe never.
Yeah,
nobody on IR for a long time. That's just pretty tough. I don't know. I don't see this working out for them.
What do you think, Jeremy? Does the Titans finally tighten it up and get a win here?
They better tighten up. I mean, Will Levis is throwing out interceptions like it's Halloween candy. I mean, you can't win if your quarterback is doing that. I mean, case in point, Packer fans are going to complain about their rookie kicker missing 3 field goals. But if you have 4 touchdowns and 0 picks, you win that game.
No doubt.
So there's all sorts of things that went wrong for them, and it's been going wrong for the Titans. There's a reason why they're sitting there languishing where they're at, and I don't know which one's going to be better. Tyler Huntley with a half a play and a week of practice with the one, or is Will Levis going to finally grab his ears and make that loud popping noise like our drill sergeant used to tell us in basic training?
I remember those. But the thing is with Levis, I mean, he's like saying, I know my mind is messed up. Well, if you know your mind's messed up and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, I mean, I don't know what you want the coach to do. I don't even know who the backup quarterback is for Tennessee anymore. I have no idea.
It's Mason Rudolph.
Put Mason Rudolph in. Put him in. Put him in.
But that must be an indication that Mason is not the guy either if he had come in at this point.
Well, remember,
learning another playbook.
That's right. And not only that,
offensive system, no chemistry.
Yeah,
up and down last year, but built chemistry with the guys, and they're trying to let him play his way out of the starting position. It looks like.
Yeah, and they did draft Levis too, and they didn't draft Rudolph, so there's a little skin in the game there. So let's get to the Seattle Seahawks getting 3.5 points against Detroit. Listen, they're at home. Seattle has a very good offense as far as the passing game goes, right? They got 3 great receivers. I think they're almost at 800 yards in passing this year. They do have a good passing game. Detroit is going to have to put a lot of pressure on, to me anyway, they're going to have to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and he's an athlete. So I don't think this is a guaranteed win for Detroit. I think Detroit's going to have to earn this game. I think it's going to be a very good game. I don't think Detroit's going to come in there and just blow Seattle out of the ballpark. I think it's going to be a very good game, and it might come down to a couple interceptions. It might come down to who's running the ball better at the time, and that's where Detroit, if they use their running game, I think Detroit wins this. If they come away from this running game too quick, I don't know, Jeremy. It might be iffy.
Go ahead, James. I want to hear your take first.
So I like Detroit. I like Detroit. I like their offense. It kind of reminds me of the Saints' old Sean Payton style. You got the running backs that can run and receive out of the backfield, and you got these skilled players on the outside. I think the biggest thing for me is that making sure that you protect Jared Goff. He's not a Drew Brees. He will protect the ball as long as he protects, and he'll get the ball to the key players as long as he's protected. If he's got pressure in his face, this is where things start going the wrong way. And I need to see that offensive line give him time. Give time to the receivers. Amon-Ra, man, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I think he's the clutch guy in third down and long or whatever. Get these guys get these playmakers the ball defensively. Man, they're ready. I think they're going to shut down Seattle defensively, especially the pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson is I like him as well. What did he have, like 5 sacks in one game or 4 sacks one of these games? Yeah, exactly. I think he's a monster. I think he's the next big deal. Just make sure you protect Goff. I think that's the key. Don't let him get pressured. That's the thing.
100%. The keys that I see for this game, Kenneth Walker is doubtful, so that's going to hurt them offensively. Because Zach Charbonnet is good, but he's no Kenneth Walker. They're missing Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy the second. They're 2 defensive tackles. They're also missing their other pressure leader on the defensive end side. And one of their leaders in sacks last year hasn't even played a game and is out this game already. Boye Mafe is the one that's out already, and the other one, I'm trying to remember his name, Amoni Yusu or something like that, I think his name is. And he's the one that's been out all season. So they got 4 of their biggest pressure monsters not playing on that front line, which thank God, because Frank Ragnall's hurt. He's out this game. So now we got to have Glasgow move from left guard to center and Coyote Awasika, our backup left guard, play. The good news is Glasgow has familiarity with this O-line at center because he did it last year, and we actually won a game, one of the games that Ragnall missed with him at center. So I think that little bit of continuity there is going to help, and Awasika was also at left guard when that game was won too. So that's why I mentioned those guys. The key is running the ball. If you got that much missing on the defensive line, you run the ball to set up the pass. If we do like we did last week, we ran it 26 times and only threw it 23. That's a winning recipe. The week before, when we lost to Tampa Bay, we ran it 26 times, but we threw it a total of 54 when you add in Jack Fox's 4th down pass.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if the Lions control the ball, their defense is good enough, Seattle can score quick. So they've got to keep – I say if you keep Seattle's offense off the field, you win that game, no problem. Guys, we're at the top of the hour already. Went by so fast. Jeremy, thanks for coming in with your perspective. We love having you on. Me and James will be back next week with NFL Download. Mac and Jack tomorrow morning. The Big Blues Brothers View. The Big Blues Brothers Show will be on tomorrow as me and Bobby will cry in our coffee talking about the Giants losing again. So, folks, have a great day, and we'll see you.